Let's talk about your mental state when it comes to your job. So, are you stressed maybe? Or do you have burnout? Or do you just hate the thing altogether? So, let's talk it out, shall we? So, we have Dr. Aneika Simmons with Sam Houston State University. So, I do wonder the difference because we all experience stress, but what does burnout actually look like?
Psychological syndrome emerging as a prolonged response to chronic interpersonal stressors. So stressors are things that cause me stress. Stress is what I feel. So the real difference between stress and burnout is chronic.
And then what would you say is the first step out of that? Is it kind of like maybe taking some time for yourself, doing things that you enjoy, maybe getting some sunshine, or is it maybe something to talk to your boss about?
Well, all of those things sound great, but one of the things we can do is we can exercise our power of no and make sure that we prioritize the things that are important to us, the things that align with our values. I don't know about you, but sometimes I've said yes to things that I really wanted to say no to, and then something came up that I really wanted to do, and I had to say no to that. And so for burnout, you want to protect yourself with healthy boundaries by making sure that the decisions you make line up with your values and your principles.
And we have noticed that what is it, 4 million people quit their jobs in November. I assume some of that is because they were thinking, you know what, this just doesn't make me happy. Let me go find something that does. So when you say the kind of the power of no, how do we go about doing that in a professional manner so that we're actually heard?
Yeah, absolutely. With dignity and respect, for sure. We have to make sure that we're being tactful. One thing I will say during this time that we've all experienced this global pandemic, I do think that people understand that we're dealing with some exhaustion. Exhaustion is actually one component of burnout. It's cynicism, it's depersonalization and exhaustion. So I do think that if you speak honestly in your organization, they should be able to hear you. But of course, that organization had to be one that allows for psychological safety. You work some places where you feel comfortable being yourself and sharing how you really feel, and others you have to navigate it a little bit more carefully.
And then when is the point, would you say, mentally, that you're just like, you know what, this place just is not for me and I'm moving on?
Yeah, well, I think that if it's troubling your sleep, if you can't do the primary functions that you need to do in your life, you want to make sure that you really do some evaluation, because the research says that those that are really engaged are the ones that are susceptible to burnout. So it may not be that you don't love your job. It just means that you're overwhelmed.
Okay, so what would be the first step, I think, internally that we should do for ourselves? Maybe just noticing what we're going through?
Well, I think we need to know what is normal and what's our baseline. So, for example, if I'm normally a calm person and getting to meetings on time, then that's one thing. But if I get to be to a point where I'm like late, or I'm tired, or I'm just not myself, I need to make sure that I also have people around me that I've given permission to be honest with me and say, hey, there's just something different about you right now. Maybe you're overwhelmed, maybe you're overextended. So I do think that self-reflection is critical at this time. We're all going through so much right now. We got to stay in touch with ourselves and make sure we know where we really stand.
Yeah, be honest with ourselves. Okay, Dr. Aneika Simmons, appreciate you, Professor of Management in the College of Administration at Sam Houston State University. Thanks for the advice and the reminders.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. A lot to think about there.